Excited to be here. Excited to have you here. It's a big night for us at Just Jill. Let me go live over on Instagram. So we're good to go. And we're good to go. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by tonight. We're so excited. We started right on time because I don't want to give up a single minute that I don't have to, because we're very excited about our special guest tonight and this incredible launch that we have for you here at Just Jill. I'm Jill Bauer. Always fun to be with you. We have a pretty amazing night planned for you, not just because in just a few moments we're going to be spending time with artist Jim Shore. Yes, Jim Shore is now available here at Just Jill. Hi, everybody who's jumping in. Hi, Mary and Sandy and Dottie. Please say hi, everybody, because I know Jim will want to hear your comments and everything as well. But I also want to remind you, as people are jumping in, hey, everybody, here comes our crew. Hi, Trula. If you're new to Just Jill because you came to us via Jim's social media, welcome. It's so nice to meet you. I've been lucky to know Jim for quite some time. We worked together when I was a host at QVC. Hi, Lisa Marie. Lisa Marie is the artist from the Caring Cardinals. Go to her website, caringcardinals.com, and we're featuring a piece that she collaborated on with Jim in the show tonight. So excited to have that as part of our assortment. Do want to let you know, thanks, Carol. We're so excited to have Jim here too. Do want to remind you, can you believe it is already the end of April? How did that happen? Didn't we just celebrate Valentine's Day? And now here we are, May 1st tomorrow. But what that means is, because it's the last day in April, it's also the end of our Just Jill anniversary month. We celebrated our 3-year anniversary as an online business this whole month. We've had great offers for you. I hope you've had fun shopping with us with those special offers. Hi, Tina. And so I just want to really quickly, if you'll indulge me for just 2 minutes, I want to touch on what those offers are, because they expire at midnight. So unfortunately, if you're watching the replay of this over on Wednesday, these offers are no longer going to be in effect. So let me just really quickly, for those of you who are with us live, let you know what those offers are, because I'm sure there are some that you saw when we presented them through the month and you're like, oh, I have till the end of the month to take care of that. And we're here. So what does that include? First of all, don't forget our sterling silver Jill watch. We're retiring this watch. I have fewer than 2 dozen left in the 4 color choices. It's the lowest price it's ever been. When it's gone, it's gone. That's made for me by Ecclesi, genuine gemstone face, adjustable to 3 sizes in the back, Italian sterling silver, and a watch that every review that's on it is 5 stars. So check that out over at justjillshop.com. Remember, shipping and handling is included with anything you purchase. So whether you are buying jewelry, food, cosmetics, home decor, Jim Shore, shipping and handling included with everything. Also, Power Beads by Jen. You love Jen's genuine gemstone beaded bracelets with the charms. All of those have been on sale all month for just $39. Today is the last day. Think Mother's Day. You want to make sure you're placing your order for those. They come in a variety of sizes, small, average, and large. Check out our assortment. There are dozens to choose from. $39 goes away at midnight. Satya, another really wonderful designer collection of jewelry we offer at Just Jill. 15% off all Satya jewelry. That goes away at the end of the day, goes away at midnight on April 30th. Then Polish pottery. Yes, we carry beautiful hand-painted stoneware, dishwasher, microwave, oven, freezer safe, hand-painted by the best artists, really the Rolls-Royce factory in Bolesławiec, Poland. We carry that here at Just Jill, and for the first time ever since we've been carrying Polish pottery, we put the entire collection on sale. This is the time, gifts for mom. If you are a collector, our pieces most of them are unicut, levels 3 and 4, hand-painted, beautiful artistry. I mean, that is serving ware, that's function wear, that's art. So check out our Polish pottery. It's all 10% off. That goes away tonight at midnight. If you have tried our Just Jill room fragrances, these are candles and room sprays that are made in Southern California, soy wax, natural essential oils. If you buy any of our fragrance duos, we're giving you a free 2-ounce room spray. That's That's 400 mists to fragrance your room. We introduced new scents this month, but that offer from Candle Maker Ed goes away at midnight. And then don't forget our Loomies, our beautiful outdoor lanterns. Those are all on sale right now because we were able to do a really amazing offer with our supplier. But in addition to the sale prices, if you buy more than one, which most of you have, you get an additional 10% off your Loomies purchase. So right now, when the weather's starting to warm up, you're starting to get your patio and garden ready, and you want to sit outside and enjoy that glow, get those Loomies not only on sale, but an additional 10% off if you buy more than one. Okay, I think I got all the offers in there. So now, here's the reason why I think so many of you are stopping by tonight. I was very lucky in my 25 years of working at QVC as a program host to work with the best of the best in many different ways. And while everyone I worked with was nice, I will admit some were more special than others. And one of those that was always special to me, who I always look forward to working with, who I admired so much because of his talent, the art that he created, and frankly, his kind heart, was Jim Shore. I worked with Jim. The last time I worked with Jim, I don't know if he remembers this, was just a couple of months prior to me leaving QVC. And earlier this year, I had the opportunity out in Atlanta, Georgia. I was there for the big, gift market, and Enesco, who does all of Jim's work, has a big booth there. And I was talking with the Enesco team about the possibility of carrying any of their products, particularly Jim Shore, at Just Jill, which, side note here, everybody, I'm a small business, like teeny tiny business. You know where you see some of the wonderful Jim Shore collectibles at specialty stores all around the country, big players in the retail space. Okay, we're just little Just Jill. So I knew the conversation about carrying products from Enesco was already like, boy, I'm going to have to really put on my A game here. But luckily they said, well, why not? And by the way, Jill, Jim's here tomorrow. You should try to stop by. I know he'd love to see you. And so I did. I stood in line. Jim had a signing there. I stood in line and waited and waited and waited and waited till I could get to the front of the line. And it was wonderful to see one of my favorite friends. And I'm delighted tonight, everybody, to introduce all of you, if you've never had the pleasure or the honor to meet Jim Shore in person, let me now introduce you, everybody. Welcome to Jim Shore. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jill. I tell you, it is such an absolute delight, and it's an honor, too, really, to be with you. I guess everybody knows that, you and I go way back.
We do.
We've been friends for years. And, early on, of course, it was when you were with QVC as a host. And, so many of the people there, I just got so close to and so attached to and admired the genuineness, if that's a word, of the folks there. And you were just at the top of the list. I always enjoyed our time together. And when they suggested that I get to do Just Jill, and I think Just Jill, Just Jill. Jill is so much more than just Jill.
Oh, thank you.
I was absolutely delighted, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here, and bring a little bit of my artwork, to your customer base and to be a part of this project that you've got here, because I just am excited about it. I stay busy. I stay so busy, and every once in a while, when I'm working by myself, I work by myself in the studio because I have to be by myself to be focused.
Yes.
And but when I think about that, I think, okay, I'm working on this stuff. I need some way of validating what I do. And times like this, coming on with you, spending time with the folks out there that hopefully will share this with us, is a welcome respite for me. Thank you, and thank your whole team for allowing me the privilege of being with you.
Well, people are jumping in. Jim Sandy, who's one of our great supporters, said, I love your pieces, Jim. I have many. People are like, welcome. I have so many of your Santas. So fun to see the two of you together again. So this is just like old home week, Jim, like just friends sitting together, having coffee, having a drink this evening, and just talking about beautiful things. So are you ready to jump in with some of the pieces we've selected for everybody tonight?
Sure am.
All right. So the first piece, so here's the backstory, and what was fun for me, everybody, is when everything got signed and all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, Anesco, your partner in all of this, Jim, basically said, go ahead and look at everything we have, Jill, and pick what you want. So I really tried to put together an assortment that I felt like represented the many areas where Jim has been able to lean into his creativity. And the first piece, like, how could we not have a beautiful Santa from Jim? Before I had ever worked with Jim, I collected Jim Shore pieces. And so the first piece I ever had was a Jim Shore Santa. And I think with summer right around the corner, Jim, this coastal Santa was the perfect pick. So do you want to tell everybody a little bit about him? And I'll hold him up so they can see all the details too.
Well, I got one too.
Great.
You know, Santas are one of those subjects that I started out doing with Anesco. In fact, as we spoke earlier, you know, the first collection that I ever presented to Anesco for Heartwood Creek was a Santa collection.
Yeah.
And it was different and original because it was not just the character, but it was decorated in a way that was unusual, you know, highly colorful, using folk art elements and things that actually, in truth, had nothing to do with Christmas or with the character, but in combination, you know, it was just interesting because the elements are sort of nostalgic and they lead us to you know, recall different things as I do different approaches to it.
Yeah.
The one thing that people always say, you know, when they look at my Santas, they say, how in the world do you come up with new Santas? You've done hundreds of them. I've done hundreds of Santas.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how many I've done, but I've done a lot.
Yeah.
And each one
it
of them
might be thousands.
Yeah,
it might be thousands.
There probably is, you know.
Yeah.
I haven't done a count, but yeah, I've done a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but the challenge, if you want to call it a challenge, is that it's the same character, and it's
Right.
but each and every one of them has to be different, original, and something that's standalone. It can't be a me too of something else, you know, that I've done.
Right.
And that's what I try to do. You know, it all comes from, you know, people ask me, okay, what's the creative part of it? You know, what's the dynamics of creative? And I have some really good and interesting answers. The truth is, I have no idea. You know, it's just one of those things that, you know, I think of something, I start out doing a comprehensive drawing so that I can send that around and explain to everybody what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then we start doing it, and I just keep working on it till it ends up looking like what I'm thinking, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the way it works. But this particular one, the coastal theme, I think is interesting because there's a contrast there between the character and the theme. You know, two different things brought together to express something that I think we all love. You know, and you know, I'm a South Carolinian. Of course, we have a beautiful coastline, and I live here on Lake Wiley, so we're kind of water people. You know.
Yes.
And, so doing something like this, you know, it was something that, while it was suggested in our brainstorming session, you know, do a Santa, do a coastal Santa. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll do a coastal Santa. Well, that's something that was easy for me to do because I love that kind of lifestyle.
Yes, you know? Right.
So I've got a scene on the front of it, which is typical of a lot of the pieces that I do.
Yeah.
I'll do a scene that sort of tells the story within the story, and I use the character as kind of the palette upon which the bas relief scene or whatever it is, you know, so that people will look at the Santa. Okay, it's Santa. Great. Got the idea that it's Santa, it's Christmas and all that stuff. And then you look at the scene, that's a completely different flavor, you know, and that's what I'm trying to achieve. So I usually do that. The coloration, as you can see, there's some red, and in this particular case, it's a combination of red and kind of a turquoise color.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, me too. You know, those two colors go together so unexpectedly beautiful.
Yes,
That,
yes.
and the elements the way they are, I think you could turn this thing around and display it backwards, and I think it would be a big hit.
It's beautiful. The other thing that I really love about this piece, Jim, is I love the pearlized finish on the shells and the pearls, and even on his scepter here where you've done these fish. So again, you sort of have the matte colors of the red and the turquoise, and then you have this pearlescence almost going
Well,
all the way around.
Jill, that's a good point. And the fact is, we do a master, what we call a master uh, of the piece, so that in production they know precisely the way we want the coloration and the painting techniques to do. And we use painting techniques that are more like toll painting than typical gift painting.
Yeah.
As you see, because our colors are not just, it's not just red. Red isn't just red. Red is a base coat and a glazing and floating and shading and dry brushing and all that stuff to make that piece have visual texture.
Yeah.
And then we put an antiquing glaze on it that brings out, emphasizes the crevices and the detail of it. That's what we do, and we work on it until we get it exactly the flavor and the feeling that we want this piece to impart, no matter what it is, or no matter what the subject. Each one, the attention to detail on each and every one is specific to that piece.
To that one, yeah.
And so that's why we use metallics and we use iridescence and sometimes we'll use sugar glitter. Sometimes we won't use anything except matte paint if that piece calls for it. It's whatever our imagery dictates. And
Yes.
a lot of people that are sensitive to that kind of stuff, they'll comment on little details just like you just did. And
Yeah.
I'm always delighted when I hear somebody point out something that I specifically did, hoping that people will recognize it and appreciate it.
Yes. Well, even I was looking here on the scepter and, there's these tiny little shells that you put there. I mean, you didn't have to put those there. It could have been plain, but just that little added touch. Now that ties into the shells down here. And I guess when I look at it, that's where I feel like it was so designed. Exactly what you were just explaining, Jim.
Well, the fact is, okay, when I'm working on a piece, okay, for me, it's not just, okay, let's crank out another piece, let's add to the line, let's expand this, let's do this. When I'm working on a piece, that's the only piece in the world. And the detail that I put in it, and a lot of this time doesn't mean anything to me when I'm working on a piece.
Right.
I want every detail to be in there. I want it to be continuously interesting. And that's why I put those little things in there, and I like the composition, because I want this thing to be, it's not just something that's cranked out of an injection molding machine. This is a handmade thing.
Right.
And the process, even our process in production, is all handmade. The mold process is hand done. It's hand cast. It's what we call fettled, which is the cleaning process. And then we do an etching so that the surface is an eggshell surface that will take this high density lacquer. And I must say, the paint we use, it's lacquer. It's the best paint available in the world. And the type of drivers we use in that paint are specific to our paint. Of course, I get a little bit in the weeds here, but I mean.
Yeah, no, but those are important things for people to know in terms of the quality, right, that they're investing in.
I think so.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just tell you, the comments, Jim, Lisa says, Jim's work makes me so happy. People are saying, I'm so excited about these different pieces. I love the lighthouse. I'm beyond excited to receive this Santa. I mean, so many people are excited. This is the only Santa we have in our show tonight, everybody. Rachel said, I've started a huge collection of Jim's pieces. So again, and there are more items than we're going to show you in our time together tonight over at justjillshop.com. One other thing just that everybody should know if you buy more than one Jim Shore piece, you'll actually get 10% off your Jim Shore order. So again, it's sort of a buy more and save. If you decide, oh, I want that Santa. Oh, and I saw that cute gnome coming up. If you buy both pieces, then you'll get 10% off your order. So keep that in mind. Jim, I'm going to scoot us along to the next collection. Is that okay? Because we have so much to get to.
Yeah, I get carried away, so keep me moving, okay?
Well, between the two of us, we could probably do a 3-hour show, but we'll save that for another day. Okay. All right. So let's move into, one of the things that's been fun to see is not only your original Heartwood Creek designs, but you've also partnered with beloved brands and characters and kind of put the Jim Shore twist on those. So I was excited to be able to choose some of these really fun, they just make me happy, Snoopy Woodstock Peanuts pieces. And the pieces that we have are all about springtime and going to the beach and going to the pool and going on vacation. So I'm just going to hold up a couple of the designs we have, but if you could share with everybody now, again, just like you have a Santa, everybody has their vision of Santa, but with Snoopy, there is clearly a Snoopy and we all know what it looks like. So how do you take something that's already established and do it the Jim Shore way?
Well, the way I approach the co-brands, and I've lost track of how many co-brands I have. We have new ones all the time. We've got over 20 that are, from Disney and Rudolph, and then one of our favorites, of course, is Peanuts, and this character right here. And I might add, I recently was asked to do the keynote speech at the Beagle Fest up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is the convention for the Peanuts people.
Is that neat? Wow.
Snoopy's a beagle.
Pretty cool. Yes, he is.
I was delighted, mainly because I love this line so much. I kind of grew up with this myself, and there's more to this than just a comic strip. It's kind of a statement on the character, the elements of life. It touches on everything, a little bit of psychology and some humor and different things. So I was delighted to do it. And but the one thing I try to do with any of the co-brands is first and foremost be absolutely faithful to the characters themselves.
Yes.
So I want a person to look at this, and I don't care if they initially say, "Oh, that's a Jim Shore piece." That doesn't matter. I want them to say, "Hey, there's Snoopy," or there's whatever I'm working on as a co-brand. I want them to focus on that. Hey, there's Little Woodstock, and that's what they can look at it and say, "Oh, that's got some Jim Shore elements." So that's Jim Shore's version of Snoopy. But I want them to know that it's Snoopy. So the way I do, Jill, I get a mental image of this stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And if I am familiar with the piece, I don't need reference or I need anything. All I need is a thought, It comes to mind. And as soon as I get it in my mind, then the design work is over.
Right.
That is a process that generally takes about 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a complex piece, sometimes 2 seconds.
Wow. So, it just comes to you.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's like theater of the mind, I get the word, I get the thought. And and so, if I'm doing sort of like a springtime Snoopy or a Snoopy Traveler, like the one that's got the little traveling things going on, or the one at the beach.
I love this one.
That's all me too. So,
I think you could go into swim short design too with this, Jim. They could be Jim Shorts.
Yeah. Oh, very, very good. Yeah. Worn only on the shore. Okay? It wouldn't be modeled by me, but
could be a whole different career, Jim. I'll be happy to be your agent for that.
Well, if this art thing doesn't work out, then maybe I can fall back on that. But but it's a delight to do these things, mainly because there's so many customers out there that like different things, and so spreading the artwork among all of these co-brands, along with the various elements of Heartwood Creek, ensures that I can hit the mark just about with anybody with the things that they love, the things that they'd like to collect or the things that they'd like to see. Some people collect everything, and
Right.
some people are very specific. They'll get just the Peanuts pieces, or just some character in Peanuts. Maybe
Right.
they like just Franklin, or they like just Charlie Brown or something. That's what they focus in on. And so I'm always happy to when we sit down to our brainstorming session, I always think, and my whole group is trained to think this way. Think about the people that we're working for.
Yeah.
That's who we care about. And so many of them, I've met so many of them doing these the signings that I do, and it's always just so. That's what I'm talking about right there. It's gratifying to meet everybody, but even the ones I've never met or never will meet, I have an attachment. We have an attachment. It's an emotional attachment, and that's what I love about what I do. I'm able to, reach out and touch somebody and make them happy, or make them, be part of the family tradition or part of the history thing or something, or help them remember maybe a loved one, or something. All sorts of different stories about the way people feel about this stuff. And so I'm very gratified to have the honor to be part of a family's experience.
Yeah. Well, and so many of your pieces, I think, make great gifts. Sandy, where do you go to buy these? I have my own online store. It's called justjillshop.com. So head right over there. You'll see on our homepage the Jim Shore collection. Click there. You'll see everything that we have. I was looking at these two springtime pieces. I think those are so fun for Mother's Day, but even just home decor pieces. If you just want a little touch of flowers and color and just, a little something you walk by every day that makes you smile. That's why I picked these two pieces in particular. I'm such a beach girl. I grew up at the beach, Jim, in Southern California. So, this is pretty much my lifestyle right here. Let's head to the beach. Get me anywhere you can. And then I saw this and I'm like, for people who are getting ready to travel, it could be a student in the family that's going to go study abroad, this summer. Like, what a fun piece to commemorate that, because Snoopy and Woodstock are ready to head out and see where the world's going to take them.
Well, Jan and I are preparing to go over to Ireland in just a few days and spend a couple of weeks over
there. Amazing.
So this is a very appropriate piece for that.
It is, right? You're ready to go.
I usually take a carry-on. Jan takes about 3 steamer trunks. And
well, I was going to ask. I have a feeling maybe that's just one of Jan's bags, right?
Well, actually, we have a house over in Ireland, so we keep it pretty well stocked. So we can just pretty much hit the ground, running over there.
That's incredible.
We love to travel, and that's one of the inspirations for a piece like this. Subject matter. See, subject matter. It's just whatever your imagination, wherever it leads you. And I have a fairly active imagination, and in fact, I love that part of it. I love the brainstorming where we get together and we say, "Oh, this will be a good, line extension," or "This is a new co-brand. Let's think about that." It's stimulating. It's the whole thing, and then to be able to, through the gift of the good Lord, being able to do what I do, to take the idea and actually make it into the reality, is just every step of the way is a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, we feel that. I think as the people who appreciate your art and see it, and the pieces that as we look at it, we can feel that in you. And I can remember years ago working with one of the jewelry designers at QVC, and he would say, when you wear my jewelry, I hope you feel my energy and my passion, because it really is in every piece. And that gave me such a new perspective on the artist and how much of themselves they put into all of their creations.
That is such a good point. I have, I don't know who that jewelry designer that you're referring to is, but I agree 100%, because I've always thought that part of what comes out of a piece is sort of proportional to the emotional content, the emotional investment, the love, the whatever the emotion is that goes into it from the artist. It's a way of, it's like reading a story, and getting caught up in a story or a song or a poem or something, or a beautiful painting, that touches you. That's what I want this stuff to do. I want this stuff to not just be something on the, collecting dust on the shelf. I want this to be part of your experience with me,
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah, I love that. We're going to move into our gnomes.
Okay.
Phyllis says, "Hi, Jill and Jim. Love your pieces. I ordered the Snoopy in the Flower Patch and the set of 3 birds this afternoon. Have many of your collections." So people are, people again are just loving it. And if you need measurements, I see John asking about the measurement of the pieces. We have all the measurements over at Just Jill Shop. So if you just go over there, click on the item you like, you'll get a full description of all of the pieces there. Again, let's talk about another assortment of characters you've created, and that's these wonderful gnomes. And I got to tell you, Jim, can I just tell you a little something? I love lots of things. When it comes to decorating and holiday decor and themes and characters, I kind of was not getting the gnome thing. It just wasn't really me until I saw yours. And like your gnomes completely won me over. They're so creative, they're colorful. I love the detail on them. Like you are the gnome king as far as I'm concerned, because while I never really thought I would want to add them in with my decor, as soon as I saw what you were doing with gnomes, I couldn't have enough of them. And we have a couple different gnomes here. We have one that's a little bit larger. This one's almost 7 inches tall. This is like our springtime gnome. We have a patriotic gnome. He's a little bit smaller. He's about 5 inches. And then everybody, for Mother's Day, there is a little female gnome that says mom, and we have that one over on the website. And remember, if you buy more than one of any of our Jim Shore items, you'll get 10% off the total order. But let's talk about gnomes, Jim, how they came to be, and like how you're winning people over with these designs.
Well, I'll tell you, I love to take credit for being the brilliant creator of gnomes, but the fact of the matter is it was completely by accident. I was between two what I considered major projects. And sometimes in between I'll take a little break, but I can't stop doing things,
Yes,
So
yeah. You like to stay busy.
I either do a painting, or I do make something, or I work on furniture, or work on something, stained glass, whatever it is I'm working on. Okay. This time I thought, I'm going to do something just for the entertainment of my children and my grandchildren. And I got a whole bunch of them. And so I made these things that look like basically an ice cream cone upside down with a nose, So I thought, okay, that's a silly little thing, but the kids loved them,
Yeah.
And so a couple of my daughters, they said, hey, put this on the line, I said, they're kind of silly, I don't know if they'll go, So I said, okay, I'll try it. So I dressed a couple of them up, and they just took off like crazy. And I thought, oh, well, there's so many different ways I can express, the subject matter relevant to the thing in the gnome, because it's so whimsical, it's so cute, it's so funny, but and we do just gnomes around the world, gnomes in the garden, gnomes in the kitchen. We do a bee skep gnome, and we just do. It just goes on and on. I don't know how many hundreds of gnomes I've done, but big ones, little ones, and all sorts of different subjects. Athletic, soccer gnomes and basketball gnomes, and just it goes on and on and on. And the ones, I must say, the ones you've selected, the color and the style and the subject are just terrific. I think one like the one you're holding up, that could go for so many different things. That could be something for Valentine's Day, or for Easter, or for an anniversary, or for, just something that you want to give your sweetheart, and just say, hey, honey, I love you so much. Here's a gnome.
Well, he's bringing flowers, right? So that's how you bring somebody a bouquet of flowers.
So,
this is so, I love the colors on this one. They're kind of muted pastels. So it's like a robin's egg blue and then a soft lavender. I love that my lights here, Jim, can also pick up that sort of wood carved texture that sort of pays homage to how you got started and what your original figurines used to look like, correct?
Exactly. I've typically, if I'm carving something, well, you can refine carving to where it's nice and smooth and all the details are there and everything. I stop short of that process, and I like to maintain the facets that you're seeing right there. You see the light play on that, the way the light catches the elements and everything. And when we dry brush it, the tops of those ridges, take on a little bit different color than the base does, and it gives it a different sort of a visual texture that you can't get any other way,
Yeah.
And so I've always done it that way, and I think I think it really lends to the visual aspect of. It's one of those things where people look at it and they might not even realize that it's affecting them in a certain way, but it is,
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think, again, it's another level of texture in the piece, right? The deep carving gives you one look. The way you've dimensionalized the flowers gives you another look. And then the way you dry brush it, that gives it another look. And then the faceting, like you said, I love that descriptor. It's like jewelry, that faceting almost of the wood. Again, every which way you look at this, the light's playing off of it, the colors bounce off of it differently, and that's what makes it so special.
We try our best to do those kind of details such that it makes that piece interesting for the long time, for the long term. And people will look at these things and they'll get joy out of it, and they'll like they'll like it, even if they are inexperienced or they're not artistic or they're not whatever. They'll like it, and they'll look at it and they'll like it.
Yeah.
Now, every once in a while, when I'm doing a signing, some people, and I mean some young people, will come up and they will explain all of this stuff, because they see everything. They understand what I'm getting at. That is very gratifying for me. I got to tell you. But
right.
just to have anybody and everybody out there that honors me by sharing my enthusiasm for what I do. I just can't tell you how grateful I am to provide the type of lifestyle that those people have created for me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, check out this gnome, our spring gnome, and then there's a gnome that says mom that we can get for you in time for Mother's Day. Lisa Marie from Caring Cardinals, and we're going to talk about her piece coming up. The gnome's mustaches remind me of someone I know. Someone who's talking right now.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Is there a little self-portrait in there, Jim? I don't know.
I've been accused of making these things self-portraits.
I love that, actually.
I don't know, maybe a subliminal thing, though.
There you go. There you go. One other call out for those of you who love the idea of this patriotic look. Over at justjillshop.com. Remember, shipping and handling is included with all of your items. We do have a patriotic angel over there who is spectacular. So if you have someone who's serving in the military, again, just with the Memorial Day and 4th of July coming up, and I think the need to have this love of our country, those patriotic pieces I know are very dear to you, Jim, in our home too. So was really pleased to be able to offer those as one of the offerings in our selection.
Those are probably the most sacred part of our line. Yeah.
Yeah.
We military and our first responders too.
Yes. Thank you.
I never pass up an opportunity to thank them for their service whenever I see them in the airport or around. So,
yes.
Yeah.
We do that too. Sometimes my husband is really good about this. If there's, some servicemen and women in front of us or coming up behind us in a restaurant or something like that, he'll make sure to cover, pick up their bill. Just little simple
wonderful
ways to say thank you. Thank you.
That is a splendid way of doing it. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on. Oh, my good friend, I'm sure you remember Dan Hughes.
Oh, absolutely.
From QVC. Well, Dan's joining us tonight. Hi, Dan. And he says, great to see you two together.
That's fantastic.
Nice.
I love Dan. I always have.
I told you it was going to be Old Friends Week here tonight. All right. Well, let's move, Jim, from the gnomes into these beautiful creatures. You have done some beautiful birds. And I think a lot of people, maybe they don't think of themselves as a Snoopy collector or a gnome collector, but there's something about birds that they love. I know I love to look out at our bird feeders and see the cardinals and the blue jays come by. We're going to talk about that Caring Cardinals piece in a second. But here's another way to do red, white, and blue. And you did this wonderful stack of birds here. This is another one of those pieces, Jim, that when I took it out of the box, I just must have had a smile so big because I loved every element of it. So what came to life in this piece for you?
Patriotic birds.
Yeah. As simple as that.
Well, I was thinking about that, and that was one of those pieces that it was something that just came to mind rather than it being part of our brainstorm session.
Yeah.
Because typically, how we establish what we're going to do with the line is through our brainstorm. We get together and everybody throws stuff in the hat. We make a list, and I go from there. And every once in a while, I think, something that would be cute is to have, and it would be meaningful too.
Yes.
There's a whimsy part of it, and then there's another part of it that's underlying the thing.
Subtle.
I love cardinals.
Me too.
I love bluebirds too. We have bluebird boxes out here.
Yeah.
And then that conjunction with the white dove, the dove of peace. I thought, let's combine that red, white, and blue. Well, hey,
Right.
it's a natural. So that's what I did. And I want people to look at that in two ways. As an artistic piece, or with a little bit of whimsy, or they like my characteristics of the birds the way I do them. But to have that sort of speak to us as Americans, I think is a cool thing too.
Yeah, I mean it's a perhaps more subtle or quiet way, but like you said, there's so many things you're expressing here about yourself, right? Your love of country, your love of whimsy, your love of birds. It could be in remembrance of someone. It's such a good piece, and I was trying to get the as close as I could to the camera because again, all these other little Jim Shore details. There's always a little bit of a swirl involved somewhere, Jim. And there you did it on their beautiful wings. I love that you did the stars here, sort of on the belly of that bluebird. I love their faces. Again, there is a little bit of a whimsy there. Terry says, I love the birds. So beautiful. I feel like every time I look at this piece just gets better and better.
Yeah, I like that piece too. It's one of those things that when it comes together like that, because that's a very quick piece to do, by the way. I get an idea and I really go to it, and it just flows. It just pours out of me, and so I always love that. I like that feeling. I like that.
Yes.
That to me, that's the essence of creativity. And I know a lot of people out there that whether they do fabric stuff, or maybe they're knitting, or they're doing cross stitch, or they're doing painting, or one thing or another. They know what I'm talking about when you have that certain feeling where you get into something and everything just comes together.
It just goes.
You're in the zone, and it's just a wonderful, creative, and it makes you feel good too.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
that's one bird item we have in the show. I want to show everybody this next beautiful white dove that is just, almost ethereal is the word I want to use with this one, Jim. Can you tell me a little bit about the importance of this piece to you and what you wanted to do here?
This is part of an ongoing collection. I've done a number of birds, a number of different types of birds in sort of the similar way, where I could couple them with either flowers or something like that, and each one of them sort of speaks to people, differently because, it's like the bluebird of happiness, it's got a theme, and, the dove is always sort of, it's a symbol of peace.
Yes.
In fact, the weather vane on top of Mount Vernon, which was George Washington's home, is a dove.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then of course the image of the dove, in conjunction with Noah's Ark, bringing the sign of renewed life, back. There's just so many emotional connections with this particular bird. I wanted it to be mild and subtle, and to have that type of beauty that that not just the bird itself, but what it represents. That's what I wanted to come out on this piece,
Yeah.
And I must say, a piece like this, in conjunction with some of the other pieces, or even some of the other collections that I do, is a really nice addition, because it goes in a direction that some of the other pieces, don't go in. This is a special piece to me.
Yeah, it's very special. I mean,
Mhm.
again, as a gift, Mother's Day, birthday, graduation, somebody who's going through perhaps a difficult time. I feel like every house in the world needs this as a reminder that peace is such a better answer
Well,
than to violence and war, right? Like I want to let this bird fly into all of our lives and bring peace to us all. And
Even the families of our soldiers, or the
yeah,
military families, this kind of thing, because our soldiers, unlike so many around the world, we fight for peace.
yeah,
That's the goal.
yeah,
It's not conquest. It's not things like that. It's peace.
peace.
And so
Yeah.
this has touched some hearts out there.
Oh, it's
I think.
beautiful. The comments, people love the detail. The flowers that you put here by the dove, they're the beautiful pink flowers. They kind of look like almost like honeysuckle flowers,
Well,
but was there something specific there, Jim?
that's exactly what I was going for. Pink and
Okay, good.
honeysuckle. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the contrast because that pink is a little brighter than sort of the soft pink and blue. Gosh, with that pink and blue, like that could even be a piece that's in a nursery, like,
That's an interesting point, actually. I can't really nail down exactly what my colorway is.
uh,
Early on, I would do these earthy sort of folk art colors, and go all across the board. That was one of the things that made my Santas unusual, or the
yeah,
snowman.
yeah,
Snowman,
yeah,
3 white balls. What can you do with 3 white balls? Well, you make them highly colorful for one thing, you know,
yeah,
and that's
right.
but then as time went on, the subtleness of the sort of the pastels and the soft colors and that sort of thing, when the mood or when the piece dictates that, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
that's what I would envision, and that's the direction I would go, or with our white woodland collection, where you have
Yes.
primarily these highly neutral, shades of white, and that can be as expressive as the other things too. I mean,
Yeah.
or the Victorian with all the the glitter and the metallics and the shiny,
Yes.
all that stuff. That's one of the things I enjoy about what I do is the thought of, okay, this piece, once I get it going, I see
Yeah.
it needs this, it needs that. This is the direction I need to go paint wise.
Yes.
So every I guess I can't emphasize it enough that the handwork on these things is complete, total,
Yes. Yes.
and every element is well thought out. And I work on this stuff until it gets right, and it's
Yeah.
generally, of
Well,
course,
you can see
my
that.
my
Right.
my definition of right is the way I want it. you know
Yes. Well, and it's because of that, people like me love and cherish your work so much because every time you get a new piece, it's going to be just right. Right. So there's our beautiful dove. And then, Jim, you have a sample of our wonderful cardinal. And I know Lisa Marie Noon, who's the artist from Caring Cardinals, is part of our chat tonight. She reached out to me early on when she learned that we were going to be working together and I had selected this piece. Cardinals are very dear to me, Jim. My grandmother, my family's from a farm in Indiana. And although I grew up in Southern California, I would spend my summers with my grandparents on their farm. And my grandmother loved a red bird. Anytime she saw a red glass bird or a painting of a red bird or a tea towel with a red bird, we had it, or you knew you had a good gift idea for grandma. And when my grandmother passed away, she passed away just 2 weeks after I had my son, Trevor, who is going to turn 19 at the end of this week. So this was 19 years ago that she passed. But on the day of her funeral, we were out at the cemetery, a small little country cemetery, in Northwest Indiana. We were all there together, and darting around the cemetery that day was a red cardinal. And to this day, anytime I see a cardinal outdoors, and even my kids will say, "Hi, great grandma," because they know we really feel that her spirit is coming to visit us and check in with us. So I know many people have stories of cardinals. That's why I chose this piece, but I'd love to learn more about your passion with cardinals, and also how you and Lisa came together, Lisa Marie came together to create this piece.
Well, that's an interesting thing. I don't know. I can't explain it, but as you say, there's so many people. I can't tell you how many people have, when I started doing these cardinals, would impart stories just like that. I have a story myself. In fact, for the longest time, I was reluctant to even tell it because it just seemed so unreal.
Yeah.
When my mother passed away, and she was artistic too, so we had this beautiful connection.
Yeah.
It went farther than just being mother and son. It was we respected each other for what we could do artistically.
Yeah. Right.
And she was a big influence. And then she and my dad both created an environment that was just a delight to grow up in, as a young artist.
Yeah.
But when she died, I went back home, and I was in Colombia when it happened, and I came back home. And that afternoon, I said, I'm going to just get this off my mind. I'm going to go out and mow the lawn, just so I can be by myself in that sphere of sound, so that I could just think,
Yeah.
I went out there, and I was standing there with holding the lawnmower, and a cardinal came up and perched on the handle of the lawnmower, not a foot away from me. Now, I can't tell you how that affected me, and it might have been, I couldn't explain it,
Yeah.
but my feeling was, that was my mother telling me that everything is
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
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 And it brought tears to my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It just automatically did,
Yeah.
And it was one of those, I don't know, experiences that are just beautiful,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the way I try to that's what I try to put into a piece like this, along with Lisa, who
Yes.
in her own right is a very talented artist, photographer, poet. I mean, she is a unique and talented individual, and it was a delight to work with her.
Yeah.
But this piece here, this is something that for one thing, if it doesn't touch you in that regard, the way I've been talking about, one of the aspects of cardinal is that they don't migrate.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a story about and I'll tell this briefly, but when I was a kid, we lived out in the country, out in Tirzah, South Carolina.
Okay.
And it's far country. And one winter morning, we had a pretty good snow. We do occasionally in South Carolina. We had a pretty good snow, and my dad called me into the kitchen. It was early in the morning. He said, "Jim, come here." He said, "Stand right here and look out the window." This is the window right above the sink. Well, we had this pear tree grew up right outside the window. Okay. Well, the whole scene was delicate blues and these wispy whispers of color, with the snow lying on these beautiful grays of the branch. And right in the center was the brilliant red cardinal.
Oh.
And my dad said, "The good Lord is a pretty good artist."
Oh, I love that.
And that
Never forgot that.
That image has stayed with me just like that. It's one of my most memorable images. And I thought about that a lot when I was working on this piece. And I'll tell you, as far as this being a representative of people that have been in your life that you love, that's the reason I chose this flower. That is a forget-me-not.
Forget-me-not. It's
And
beautiful.
I think that is a little aspect of it that sort of says what what I'm trying to say with this piece, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I think there are people who collect cardinals, so this is perfect. If you have a favorite picture of someone, in heaven, and you want to put this beautiful piece next to it, I love that. This is something to keep at your desk, and every time you look at it, it's like just that moment of reflection. It's really special. I'm going to share, Jim, real quickly. I can share my screen. And I'm just going to really quickly share the screen real quickly of this piece over at justjillshop.com. So everybody can see like what a nice piece it is. And you can really see the detail, everybody. All of that beautiful detail work that you see in Jim's carvings, those beautiful forget-me-not flowers. Again, and just so you know, here's the symbol from Caring Cardinals. And Lisa Marie Noon, an artist, a photographer who experienced her own, moments of grief, really was inspired by that experience to create this Caring Cardinals collective. So we're honored to have it as part of, Just Jill, and especially to have it in partnership with you too, Jim. I just think it's really beautiful. So really proud to have that piece. Lisa Marie put up here, wiping away tears. Thank you both for sharing your beautiful stories. A cardinal experience is what inspired my vision for Caring Cardinals. So, Lisa, we're honored to have you be part of this too. So thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Real quickly, Jim, we're down to we've got the pets to talk about real quick, and then the Noah's Ark. Okay.
Okay.
So we might have to do like a little speed dating here to get through all this.
Like I said, just bring out the hook, or the
Okay.
gong or whatever.
I mean, like I said, I could sit and chat with you for hours, but at some point, everybody's got to go to bed, right? So let's move into, I specifically picked these next pieces because I'm a dog mom. We have Rottweilers, and I was never a dog person until we got our first Rottie 15 years ago. And we're down to one right now. He's outlived the others, but I know how attached people are to their pets. They are members of their family. That's true in my house. So when I saw these sweet angels, an angel holding a dog, an angel holding a cat, and then you have the Rainbow Bridge angel, which I don't have a sample of, everybody, but you can see it up close over at justjillshop.com. These pieces really spoke to me, Jim. Of course I love a beautiful angel, but this connection of an angel and a pet, knowing that if that pet is no longer with me, it's somewhere up there, and is, thriving and protected the way I would want it to be. I just think that's such a beautiful message.
Well, we're pet lovers around here too, and we have our dog we recently sadly lost.
Yeah. Oh, it's such an ache, isn't it? It's just an ache.
It's part of the family, and it leaves a little hole there that is hard to fill.
It does. It does.
Mocha was half Rottweiler and half Russell.
Oh wow! Oh well, that's a combination.
Hard to explain, but there it is.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah, exactly.
It must have either been small and fierce or big and hyper. That must have been the combination.
It was kind of like a miniature Rottweiler, small Rottweiler.
Yeah.
The same markings,
Yeah. Oh,
and,
beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful temperament. Beautiful.
Oh, the best temperaments. Yes.
I just love that little dog.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that's one of the things, the people all of us who have lost pets, this is a piece that I'm holding. This is the Rainbow Bridge. The idea of that is the fact that, well, we've lost our pets, but they're on a journey too. And I love thinking of it that way too. And this is the thing and one thing about this piece, actually, I hope everybody can see it. Maybe there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
You'll notice that right down here, this is where the footprints of the paw prints go up to the bridge, and it goes across to eternity. And and there's a space right here. Okay, I left that space there intentionally, and people can, personalize that and put the name of their
Oh,
of their
that's nice.
their pet.
Oh,
If
I
they have,
love that.
yeah. Hmm.
That's real. I
So
mean, sometimes, friends of mine will, they'll lose a pet and how devastating it is. And I think for kids too, I will say that our first Rottweiler, Duke, he had quite the story. He ended up only having 3 legs. And so he was very unique, and we had him for years. He was the first dog that our kids had. And when he passed away, my son Trevor was very young at the time, and I had never heard my child cry like that.
mm,
And I for the first time, I realized he's experiencing grief,
yeah,
for the first time. And when pieces like this, I was even thinking, like, these are pieces that I think can help them, because they're too young sometimes to put into words what they're feeling or experiencing. And knowing that they could look at a piece like this, or you could share the story of the Rainbow Bridge through your artwork, I think that there could be a simple sense of understanding and helping them process that grief in a very unique way. So that was one of the things when I thought about. I thought, if you have a granddaughter or a daughter or a niece who maybe has lost a kitty or lost a puppy, like, these are wonderful pieces for them to have in memory of those animals, because we all know you never forget them, right? You never forget them.
well, that's exactly right. They become such part of the family. That they're such a source for joy, and
Yeah.
they're funny, and they're loyal, and they just love you. And
Yes.
they don't care. They don't care who you are, or what color you are, or what. They just love you.
They
And
just love you. Yeah.
unconditionally. and
Yes.
and that it's such a rare thing. It's like Mocha. I would come in the house, and Mocha would just shake all over, and he was just happy to see me. And
Yeah.
that memory of him was just such a heartwarming thing.
Oh,
Uh, but yeah, you're right. Something like this, a piece of artwork that's dedicated to that pet. It doesn't have
yeah.
to be one that you lost. I mean, it could be just the joy of celebrating your love of pets,
Yes,
whether it's a
absolutely.
dog or cat, or I mean, people have all sorts of stuff, all sorts of things for
Yeah.
pets.
I love these little angels too. Great little gifts, maybe for your vet or the vet tech, or, anybody who just loves animals. So definitely check those pieces out. And finally, last but not least, I sort of feel like this is the piece de resistance here, Jim. We have this. I mean, this is for these true Jim Shore collectors. Let's go for a journey on Noah's Ark. And this is just huge. Carol said, I got the Noah's Ark. So glad I tuned in. A magnificent piece, Jim. But I'm just going to hand it off to you and sort of take us through what your vision was in creating something like this.
Well, I've done Noah's Ark in a lot of different ways, and large and small. This is probably one of my more detailed, iterations of that story. But I love that story.
Yeah.
There's so much to that story. About cleansing and rebirth, and it's just a lovely story of then the relationship between God and man. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot to the story. And so what I wanted to do, though, I wanted to do something that was, serious, but not too serious. Have some
Yeah.
whimsy to it, and make it into a compositional art piece that has enough detail in it to be continuously interesting to, well, whoever has it. The
Yeah.
children, will get a big kick out of this. With I've got the fish in the sea, and as you
Yeah.
can
I
see,
love that.
yeah.
Yes.
And then if you'll notice that on one side of the ark, I've got a bunch of, like you would say, wild animals, African animals, and that sort of thing. I got zebras and camels and elephants and giraffes and rhinoceros and lions and
Yes.
stuff like that. That's fine. You got the monkeys up there. And then on the other side, you've got what would be farm animals, you know.
Yeah.
So you've got the oxen and the pigs and the, you know, the horses and the sheep and stuff like that. So there's, you know, typically a Noah's Ark will go one direction or another. Well, this goes both directions, you know, so
Yeah.
depending on what you, how you display it, you know. And a piece like this, actually, if you put this on a mantle or something like that, like we have a piece like, we have this piece. This is the original that I'm holding up here.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So, yeah, this piece, we display that in the house in front of a mirror. And that way people can look
Smart.
at it and they can
You can see the other
yeah,
side.
you can see the fact that there is a detail on the other side, you know. So
I love that.
that's again one of those pieces that it came to me immediately. I didn't have to work on this piece at all as far as deciding how this piece was going to go. I just knew it immediately, and I said, "This is going to be an interesting piece because there's going to be lots and lots of detail." But you know, you'll notice if you look, okay, if you look at the detail within each one of these pieces, whether it's the zebra or whether it's the pigs or whatever, each one of those pieces is a project all by itself.
Yes.
Not hold back on the detail of whether it's Noah in the front or,
Right.
you know, whether it's the monkeys up there, and the positioning of them, you know, gives them personality, gives them, you know, they have they're a character, you know, they're looking, they're expectant, they're, you know, they're doing one thing or another, so that each one of them, you can look at each one of them and you can sort of make up a story in your mind considering each one of them, you know. And it's just of course I have, you know, the elements that I'm known for, you know, some of the quilt designs and the rosemont and stuff like that, and that's kind of secondary, but I mean it's my trademark stuff. But I just think that the composition of the piece, once again, the coloration, the metallics of the roof.
Yes.
And
I love that roof.
And
you know,
some
I
of
mean,
the iridescence on the waves. It's a pretty piece.
Yeah, it is.
And it's substantial, you know, as far as it being a centerpiece, you know, for something or something that you can have that expresses your faith without, you know, wearing it on your sleeve. This is a nice piece to do it, you know.
Beautiful, beautiful piece. And so fun, like what a great way to teach your kids, your grandkids, the story of Noah's Ark, you know, and have them be able to see it. And I can just imagine if when I was a little girl, like this would be the kind of piece that would fascinate me for hours, because there's so much to look at, you know, and it's like every time you go back to it, you see something a little different, or you catch something that maybe you didn't see before. And this is a treasure of a piece. It's just really spectacular, Jim. People are commenting like how beautiful it is.
It's such a unique story for one thing, and you like you just said about, you know, the children understanding the story. You know, you could read something to a kid, or, you know, and they'll absorb it and everything, but it's nothing like actually having something visual, you know.
Yes,
and you can say this symbolizes what the story is all about, you know.
Right.
And you'll notice that Noah in front is holding his hand out and has the white dove that we talked about earlier.
Yes,
I love in his hand with the olive branch in the dove's mouth. That's the kind of detail that's on this piece.
Amazing.
So yeah, there's a lot of work went into this piece, and I was very pleased with the outcome of it. Sometimes I look at a piece like this, you know, when I get finished with it, and I think, okay, how'd I do, you know? And and I'm my own worst critic, you know. I mean, I want everything to be, and the reason for that, Jill, is that I want, when the piece comes to whoever it is that ends up with it, okay, and we'll do maybe hundreds of a single piece, sometimes maybe thousands even. When I'm doing QC and I'm looking at the pieces, you know, on the line or what have you, I'll pick up a piece, and it's not like, okay, this is one of of 100 or whatever. This is the only piece that means something to me right now.
Yeah.
Why? Because that is the only piece that is going to be owned and, you know, and loved or whatever by the one person that gets it, you know.
Right.
So that is the most important piece.
Yeah.
I feel I feel that way when I'm signing these pieces, you know,
Yes. Yes.
because I always make my signature very, very. You've seen my signature.
Yes.
It's the
Yes. I
same.
have a signed piece now, Jim.
It's the same.
I stood in line with everybody to get that signature and a hug.
You know, you could have come to the front of the line. I guess you know that, right?
I was happy to wait my turn. Happy to wait my turn. Well, Jim, what a night for us. Thank you for being here. We're already talking to your team about getting you back for Christmas in July.
That would be a delight.
That'll be really, really exciting. People are already always saying this is, wonderful, heartwarming show. Thank you for being here, Jim. Can't wait to get these pieces. I know I'm going to study it for hours. I have many pieces of Jim. So I think our audiences are pleased to have us back together again. And I know for me, this has just been maybe the biggest thrill for Just Jill since I launched the business. So thank you a million times over.
Well, thank you so much, Jill. It's been an absolute pleasure, delight, and an honor to spend time with you. I've always loved you from the first time we worked together so many years ago, and I just am so gratified at so many people out there that share with us, the love of what I do. It just warms my heart and makes me know that what I do has value and has worth, and that means a lot to me.
Oh, it so does. So, Jim, you and Jan have an amazing vacation. If you ever want to do a live remote from Ireland, I'd be happy to fly over.
We can do that. We can do that.
But in any event, have a great trip. I look forward to touching base with you when you get back. And I know our audiences will be great to see us together again, hopefully in July.
We will make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
God bless you all. I love you all, and we'll be together again soon.
We love you, Jim. Thanks so much for being here.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. So that was such a great show. We love Jim so much. Go check out our assortment. There were pieces from different collections that we didn't talk about tonight. They're all over at justjillshop.com. Everything has shipping and handling included. And remember, with Jim Shore items, if you buy more than one, you'll get 10% off your total Jim Shore order. So it's a nice way to get a little extra savings. Think about gift ideas, any occasions that are coming up. And don't forget all of our Just Jill anniversary offers, power bead sale, free room spray fragrances, Satya jewelry, Lumi's 10% off, all of those extra special deals. Those all expire at midnight. Have a great night. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. And come back tomorrow night. I'm doing a Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube Live on Wednesday night. May 1st, we are launching Ross Simon's jewelry. You might have noticed some of the pieces I have on tonight. Ross Simon's coming up tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We're going to get Mom some beautiful jewelry pieces and maybe you too. So I'll see you then. Have a good night, everybody. Good night.